I am Mrs. Mathern. I am going to be your student's third grade homeroom teacher, and I'm really excited. Now, first of all, before we get into this video, I do want you to know that I have been wearing a mask. I'm not going to wear a mask for this video because I think it would be very difficult for me to communicate through a mask. It'll be easier to understand me if I'm not wearing a mask. However, the school policy right now is that teachers are always wearing a mask when they're in the building and when we are in our classrooms. I also have sanitizing spray. Oh, this camera. I'm not used to videos, so please be patient with me while I make this video. This is the first time I'm doing this. And I also have a lot of hand sanitizer in the classroom. We obviously are taking the coronavirus outbreak very seriously. And while we trust God and we know that He's in control of the situation, we're also taking steps to be safe and to keep your children safe. So yes, that's why I'm not wearing a mask. But after this video, I will put my mask back on and I'll sanitize my desk. So don't be worried about that. Anyway, yes, my name is Mrs. Mathern. And the purpose of this video is for me to introduce myself, to talk a little bit about who I am as a teacher, what you can expect from me this year, and also how I teach and what I expect from you. Because the biggest thing that I want you to know about me as a teacher, besides the fact that I love Jesus and I'm a Christian and I'm a Christian educator, is that I believe in parent partnership. I want to work with you. I want to partner with you because I feel that that leads to the best outcomes for your child. So I guess I should move this maybe down here. Okay. So my name is Mrs. Mathern. This is my husband, Mr. Mathern. We've been married for 8 years. Almost forgot. I'm from Texas. Miguk Saram Imnida. I really love living in Korea. I've lived in Korea. We have lived in Korea for 7 years now. I've been an educator at HIS this is the beginning of my 6th year. I've taught music, I've taught ESL, and this is my 3rd year teaching homeroom. So that's a little bit about me and where I'm from. Okay. So I am your I'm your child's 3rd grade homeroom teacher, which means as a homeroom teacher, I will teach Bible and language arts. I also will take care of birthdays. I'll make sure your student gets to school safely, knows the rules, follows rules. Any disciplinary things come through me. Their main room is my room. These are their other teachers. This year, it's going to be a little different. So instead of homeroom teachers also covering math and science, we now have subject teachers for math and science. So Miss O, who is the 4th grade homeroom teacher, will be taking care of math and science for your child. Miss Bay is their Korean language arts and social studies teacher. Miss Jung, who was their music teacher last year, will be their music teacher this year as well. Miss Kim, of course, is the art teacher. Mr. Choi is PE, and Mr. Yu is technology. So I believe the 3 new teachers, including myself, are Miss O and Miss Bay. So these are teachers that they are not familiar with, and everyone else they should know from their subject teachers last year. Okay? All right, so before I get too much further into the PowerPoint, I am sending, oh, this is so difficult. I am sending this home. Of course, I was planning to send it home with your child on the first day of school, but since that has been pushed back, hopefully we will send these out when students come to school. If not, it's possible we may ask parents to come to the school and pick up some materials, in which case I will ask you to pick this up. This is for you to take home and keep. I'm going to go through it today, but it just has all the information that I'd like you to hold on to. You can put this in your refrigerator. You can put this on your refrigerator or maybe at your desk, but please keep this. and refer back to it during the school year, it should be very helpful. And of course, it has that school supply list at the bottom, which we'll get to. But right now, we're talking about, which you will have a copy of this, the student timetable. So it's different this year. If you're a new parent, I'm so excited to meet you and your student. But for students who've been here before, there's going to be some big changes this year, which is exciting, but also we're going to need to practice. So our schedule is completely different. Students need to come to school between 8:30 and 8:45. Now, I really want to stress how important it is that your child arrives on time to school, because I do something with students called helping hands. And in my classroom, I have fish and plants. We've got all kinds of fun activities that the students help me with. I have a reading corner. We've got lots of supplies that the students help me with. So the students have responsibilities and jobs. And so when they come in the morning, instead of giving them busy work or morning work, I want them to socialize with each other, and they also have a responsibility. For instance, one student always does the calendar every day. That's the first thing they do when they come to school. So they, of course, put their backpack away and put their books away, turn in homework, and then they go over to the calendar area, and I will be posting pictures of this, and their responsibility is to update the calendar. Another student feeds the fish. Another student has to make sure that they help me greet and say hello. So there's every student, all 21 students will have a special responsibility. Now, some of these responsibilities aren't in the morning. Like sometimes they help me pass out lunch tags or things like that. But arriving to school on time gives students a chance to socialize, to have time in the morning where they can interact with me in a positive way. If they're coming late, in my experience as a teacher, they feel very stressed, and it's not a good way to start the day. So I would really ask you as parents, this is your responsibility to make sure that students are in their seat, ready to start the day at 8:45 when I take roll. Then following along, our first class will always be Bible, and it's a 30-minute class. Then block one, some days they might have me as their LA teacher. They might go to math and science with Miss O. They might have a subject. So when we have a finalized schedule, I will share that with you on Class Dojo. But right now, it's just the block one timetable. Okay. Recess and snack. So at 10:45, the kids will go out to recess with teachers supervising, and they are more than welcome to bring a snack. I highly recommend that you send your student with a snack, because it gives them a good break and it gives them a little brain food for the day. So it would be great if they were healthy, but also if you want to send your child with a special treat for behavior, if they send cookies or chips, it's fine. But on a day-to-day basis, I would ask you to send something healthy, just because it's better for them. All right. So recess and snack. Then they have block two. And after block two, we'll go to lunch. After lunch, they will have another recess. DEAR time is after that. Now, DEAR stands for drop everything and read. Now, this year we'll be reading with technology, which means iPads and Chromebooks. And I also have a lot of books in my classroom. I would really recommend that you buy English books to have at the home. I don't always make students read English books because I do want them to be developing their Korean language as well. So oftentimes, probably once a week, we'll have a Korean DEAR time and they can read their favorite Korean books, because I really want students to love reading in any language. So DEAR time is a special time after lunch recess to kind of bring students back into the classroom and read. Then we have block three, homeroom time, and they come home. So homeroom is a really important time at the end of the day where students and I will have our meeting. So a class meeting is extremely important to build relationships with me as their teacher and also with each other. We'll talk about the day. If there were any conflicts or issues, we'll talk about those, and we'll go over what we learned. We'll talk about homework, and then we'll say goodbye. I don't remember the date, but we do have after-school clubs that will be starting sometime in March. Actually, it probably has changed now that the school year has been pushed back. But after school clubs are a great way for students, especially with working parents. It's a great way for students to build friendships and also meet other teachers and interact with other teachers. I will be teaching clubs this year. I know several other teachers have really fun clubs. So if you want to sign your student up for an after school club, I will be sending home sign up sheets at some point. It's not at all mandatory. It's just for fun. There is a small fee, but clubs run from $320 to $420. Now, if your child is not in a club, they must be picked up at $315. It's very serious not serious. It's very important that we follow this guideline. There have been issues in the past with students being unsupervised after school. The teachers dismiss them at $315, and then we have meetings or we have responsibilities, conference calls. We are no longer supervising the students after $315. So it's very important that a parent comes and picks up their student. So I have this form that I'll be sending home, and I would like for you to let me know how your child gets to school in the morning and how they get home. That way, if they're going on a Hagwon bus or if grandma's picking them up, if I know how they're getting home and someone's running late, then I can kind of work with you if I have that information. So this is a student information form that I'd like you to fill out, and just let me know how they get home and also who's picking them up. Yes, so that's our schedule. It's going to be different this year, but personally, I think it's going to be much better to have longer blocks. So there's more time for creativity, and I think it's going to be great. So that's our schedule. Oh, and I already talked about this. Okay, arrival, dismissal. We do count tardies. So when students sit down at 8:45, I will take roll and I will close my door. I'm not going to lock it, but I will close my door. And if students come in after 8:45, I will count them tardy. If there are multiple tardies in a week, I probably will contact you and just see if something's going on, if someone is sick at home. I absolutely want to work with you and, be encouraging, but I would really like students to be here on time. And I understand I run late sometimes, I absolutely understand that it happens, but if it's happening on a regular basis, I will like to reach out and talk to you about what's going on and if there's a problem that I can help with. Right. And I've talked about clubs and leaving directly after clubs and after school for their own safety. We are on a university campus, so there are a lot of cars. There's a lot of other students. The high school and middle schoolers use our court after school, so please pick up your students at 3:15. Okay. Homework. Now, I try not to assign a lot of homework because I know that some students are in Hagwons, either hopefully for fun things, not like math and science necessarily, but music Hagwons or Taekwondo. I know that students really enjoy those. And of course, if they're going to math and science and they love it, that's fine. I would like to suggest that students don't have their evenings full every single day of the week. They need time to rest and they need time to be with their family. And as a teacher, I don't want to assign a lot of homework that burdens them and also takes away from that precious family time. So I do assign homework. I love to assign projects, but normally I'll give you a couple days or maybe a week to help your student with that. And I do expect parents to be involved in homework. Please ask your kids what they have for homework, help them with it if they need it. Homework is practice. It's not about getting a good grade. A lot of times I might not grade their homework. I check to make sure it's done. And then when I give them a quiz in class, that's when I check their comprehension. So homework is really important for you as a parent to help them practice. If you ever want an answer key or if you have a question about homework, feel free to contact me and I'll help. But yes, so that's how I assign homework. I try to do it very lightly, but I do have projects and different homework assignments throughout the week that I do expect to be finished. We have quizzes and tests, of course. And one thing in their school supplies that's very important, let's see, I have it right here, is their homework folder. So one of the school supplies I'll ask you to get is a 2-pocket folder. And this is for students to keep their homework in. So every day when they leave school, they'll write their homework in their agenda and they'll put their homework in their homework folder. So that's something you can check at the end of the day to see what they've got in their homework folder. Now, one of the most important things that I'm going to assign for homework is reading. I really want students to be reading Korean books and to be reading English books at home. When students read, it develops their literacy in ways that really nothing else does. So finding leveled books, going on YouTube and having students listen to books, listen to stories, and most importantly, you reading to your children is just such a wonderful language building developmental exercise. So reading is very important, and I want students to love it so it doesn't feel like work. And I will be assigning reading for homework. Sometimes I'll post a PDF on their Class Dojo portfolio, which I'll do a tutorial video about that later. So you know how to open the PDF, and I might ask them to read something on a tablet or on a computer. Okay, to save some paper. I keep talking about the next slide before I get to it. Reading, I just talked about it. Okay, technology in the classroom. So this that you can see on your screen is, bells are still running. It's the exact same as what's in the paper that I'm sending home with you at some point. So you don't have to memorize this, but technology is something we use a lot at HIS. They will have a special class with Mr. Yu completely about technology, how to use it. They'll be making slideshows. They're going to be using a tablet. They'll be using Chromebooks in my class. So there will be times in the school year where I'm going to assign homework that you'll need to have access to either a tablet with a camera or a smartphone with a camera or something, a recording capabilities. So if you need help with that, contact me and I will absolutely work with you. I might be able to help your child do their homework in a different way. So please communicate with me if this is something that you're going to struggle with or you don't have access to. I think most of us at this point have a smartphone. And if you have a smartphone, then these projects should be able to be completed on a smartphone. So the best thing you can do is just communicate with me. There were times that I assigned a project and someone, their phone was broken. So I gave them extra time, of course. So just communicate with me and we'll work together on it. But technology is a very important part of our curriculum this year. Okay, now getting into the really important stuff, we're going to talk about the class promises. So a lot of teachers have class rules, of course. I like to call mine promises because it connects in with what God's promised us and God's promises to us. So when students come to school, one of our first Bible lessons is going to be about God's promises to us. And then we will sit together and we're going to make promises to each other. And those promises are going to be about behavior, about what we will do throughout the year, every day. So an example would be, I will always be kind to my classmates. That's an example of a promise. I don't have last year's students' class promises. I think I got rid of that board. But one of them was, I will always make sure to respect my teacher and classmates, things like that. And when the students make these promises, then they have ownership of them. And when they break a promise, we can talk about it and say, hey, this was your idea for a promise. And what are the consequences for breaking a promise? And so we'll talk about that. So the 3 A's of my classroom are admit, apologize, and amend. So let's say that a student breaks a promise. They either were very unkind to a classmate or they did something that broke a class promise. So the conversation that I will have with them is the first thing they need to do is admit they made a mistake. Now, I know that I think every student in my class this year is an EFL student, which means English Foreign Language. I know that it takes them a long time to communicate their thoughts fully in English. My goal as a teacher is to always listen. I know sometimes it can look like a student broke a promise, but there's more to what's going on. So as a teacher, I always try to listen very carefully and make sure that I understand if two students are arguing, both sides of the conflict. Now, if it's very clear, like let's say somebody broke a pencil and I saw it happen, then they need to admit that that was not a right choice. So that's the first one, is confess your sin. That was not a right choice. I admit that I did that. The second step, apologize. Of course, after we do something that we shouldn't have done, you have to apologize to that person or to Mrs. Mathern, whoever, needs an apology, either in a note or verbally. They have to apologize. And then the last one is amend, which means change. So if they admit they've done something wrong, they apologize for their behavior. It doesn't carry any meaning if they don't then change that behavior. So that's the last step of the process, is I want them to change that behavior. And I know that this is not going to happen the first time or the second time. This is a process. And we forgive each other as we admit that we've done things wrong, and amending our behavior takes a long time, myself included. So I want to be very patient with this process, but this is a conversation that I will be having with your child if something goes wrong. Okay, my favorite thing, Class Dojo. Again, this is going to be in the booklet that I give you. And I probably will make another video like this where I talk about Class Dojo, and I can maybe walk you through how to set up your dojo and also how to use portfolios. Now, Class Dojo is an excellent way to track student behavior. So let's say, a student makes a mistake during the day. I'm not always going to be taking away points. And it's very important that you understand that students don't ever see their points. I don't think it's helpful. Let's say if student A has 42 points and student B has 142 points, how do you think that makes student A feel? Even though for them, 42 points might be a wonderful accomplishment for them that month, I don't want students to see each other's points or scores and compare each other and make themselves feel less or be prideful. So when I give Class Dojo points, the students don't see them on the screen. It's only something that I share with you as the parent. And the reason I share it with you as the parent is so we can communicate about behavior patterns. So let's see. Oh, I didn't put it on here. Well, that's okay, because it's actually here, and it might be in a later slide that I just forgot about. But here it talks about how I do discipline in the classroom. So I have a warning, a strike, a stop sign, and sit separate. Let me just make sure I don't have that slide. I don't. Okay. Anyway, so the first, if I see behavior in the classroom that is not what it's supposed to be, I'll give a warning. There's no consequence. There's no minus points. It's just a little reminder to redirect their behavior. Second, if the behavior continues, they might get a strike. Now, a strike is when they go write their name on the board. If their behavior improves, I erase their name. There's no minus dojo points. There's nothing. It's just redirecting behavior that I don't like into better behavior. And there's no punishment. There's no consequence. It's just helping students, reminding them to redirect their behavior. Now, if that same pattern of behavior continues, like maybe talking to your friends, I might warn you to please stop. If you continue, I might give a strike. Now, if this person, the student, continues to talk, then they get a stop sign. A stop sign is a piece of paper that it's over there, but I don't want to get up. So it's a piece of paper that I will put on their desk, or I might ask them, please go get a stop sign. So if students get a stop sign, then I will take points on dojo. Now, a minus point on dojo, I might click something that says talking during class or being disrespectful, and you can see that on your phone. So you will know at the end of the day, or whenever you check your phone, that your student received a warning and a strike, and both of those things happened before I took points on dojo. And again, students don't see that. And I am very careful not to embarrass students or shame them. That's not my goal as a teacher. But I do want to correct behavior when it needs to be corrected. So after the stop sign, If the behavior continues or if it escalates, I'll ask them to sit separate, which is like timeout. So they will still engage in the lesson, they'll still be part of the classroom, but they will use their clipboard, which is a school supply. So I'll ask them to go get their clipboard, and they'll need to do their work either standing next to me or standing in a different place in the classroom. And if we do a game or if we're doing something fun, they don't get to participate. So past that, we have the reflection paper, which is something that you can read about in your school handbook. So the reflection paper is for maybe something like school violence, if there's hitting or kicking involved, something that's violent, or if there's just an absolute, if your student's just having a bad day, they might need to write a reflection paper. Now, a reflection paper looks, sorry, I should have got this out before the video. A reflection paper looks like this. So you will need to sign it as a parent. I will go over all of this with the students about what happened, what they were thinking and feeling, the wrong choice that they made. So kind of the admit, apologize, and amend. And then if you get this, then I will most likely dojo message you so you and I can be talking about what happened, because sometimes students just have a bad day and it's not a pattern of behavior. They just had a really rough day, and we always start fresh the next day. So you will sign this and send it back to me. And then hopefully the next day will be a new day and it won't continue. Okay. If you have any questions about any of this process, about anything of what I've said, please email me and I'd love to talk to you. Ideally, we would all be in the room together right now and I could answer questions, but that's not the case. So unfortunately. Okay, last but not least, we have our school supplies. Now, of course, I have everything written out for you here. So what I'm going to do now, so my list is at the top and Miss O's list is at the bottom. Oh, this is difficult. There we go. Now I will show you, I've bought most, if not all, of the school supplies that your student will need so I can show you. So starting, let's see, no, okay. So of course they need a backpack, and we also will be using pocket folders. So I already showed you the homework folder. They will need pocket folders for math and science. Now, when I say pocket folder, I mean this right here to put papers in. And I can help them label it. If it comes labeled, that's great. If they could write their name on it in English, that would be wonderful. So that would be great if you could do that at home. Sorry, science and math. Of course, homework, and then Bible and language arts. So all total, that is 5. So 5 pocket folders for every subject. And they also, for my class, will need a large Friday folder. So every Friday at the end of the week, I will pass out all of their papers and tests and quizzes, and we'll clean out our folders and fill our Friday folder. Ideally, what I would really love is that you would open this folder every Friday and go through their work. So you can kind of see how they're doing in class, and you can congratulate them, or you can see areas that they might need a little extra help with and encourage them and maybe work over the weekend. Say if they're not really getting multiplication, you can go over multiplication tables, something like that. So the Friday folder would be great if you would go through it together, and then they can really show you their accomplishments, which would be great. Okay, so those are their folders. Let's see. Their Bible memory verse. So every week, there is a new Bible memory verse, and on Friday, they need to say it from memory. So during the week, now this isn't a notebook, but let's pretend it is a notebook. I don't have a small notebook to show, but this size is what I'm talking about. So a notebook around this size is perfect because what they'll do is every Monday they come to school, they write down the Bible memory verse for the week, and then they can study it. And on Friday, they take their quiz. So just a little notebook about this size for the Bible memory verse notebook. Okay. Then let's see. We also need some notebooks for writing. Now, their writing notebook, it's very important that the paper looks like this. So the difference between maybe their writing notebook and their science notebook, this is their writing notebook. And then the science notebook doesn't have maybe the same kinds of lines. So please make sure that the writing notebook has these lines so we can practice handwriting. So every notebook, writing, I believe they need one. They might not need one for science. When I was a science teacher, I assigned that. They might not need a science notebook. It's all here, and it's in Korean as well. For my class, they will need 2 notebooks, one for Bible and one for language arts writing. I'm sorry, they'll need 2 notebooks, one for language arts writing, one for LA vocabulary spelling, and then their Bible memory verse notebook. So that's 2 notebooks. So they'll need 2 notebooks and the Bible memory verse small one. Okay? Let's see. Almost finished. I know this is very long. I appreciate you watching this, and I wish we could be all together so that we could have a little bit more of a community, but it is what it is. Okay. Something else that's very important that I would like you to purchase is the clipboard. This is important when we go outside. They can use this to write on. And of course, a whiteboard. Please purchase a new one. I don't mind hand-me-down whiteboards if they are clean, but so a whiteboard and 1 or 2 small markers. Please don't purchase a huge set of markers because it's very difficult to keep them in their desk or in the classroom and they lose them. So ideally, 1 or 2 small markers and of course a little eraser for the whiteboard. Okay, besides that, the last thing I would ask students to bring is A4 size paper. Please do not send this size. I have a lot of these. I would love A4 size color paper, and I'm going to assign colors to your student. So I'll post it on Class Dojo, which if you haven't noticed, I use Class Dojo a lot. I am always posting pictures of our activities and videos. I assign homework on Class Dojo. I'll be posting lots of information and updates. All of my weekly newsletters are posted on Class Dojo. So it is, if you don't listen to anything else in this whole video, at least download Class Dojo so that we can communicate there. So please download Class Dojo. And of course, I will be sending this home, which is, cover up the student name. So this is one student's class code. And when you download the app, you plug in this code and you have it on your phone. And every student will get a different QR code that they can have at home so that they can sign in to their account at home. Okay, I think I've covered everything. One more thing. This is something I will be sending home at some point, and I would love for you to fill it out. You are my best resource in learning about your child. I would love to know what their strengths and weaknesses are. I would love to know their learning style. Just any information you can give me. I will be sending this home for you to fill out. And okay, I think that's everything. The last thing that I'll talk about is birthdays. So once a month, we'll celebrate all the birthdays. It will always be on a Thursday because on Thursdays, I have a class after lunch with your 3rd graders. So if we go a little bit long after lunch in the party, it's okay because my class is next. So I don't mind giving up some of my class for the birthday party. I wouldn't ask that of the Korean teacher, for instance. So, birthday parties, please don't bring cake. It creates too much food trash, and the students have just eaten lunch. So, normally they're not very hungry. The best thing is popcorn was really popular one year, little cookies, little individual packaged bags that they can eat and then maybe finish later and take home are perfect. So I want to celebrate birthdays. I think birthdays are really fun. I think it makes the students feel special and it kind of gives them a moment in the spotlight so that their classmates can say how much they appreciate and love them. So I love celebrating birthdays, but I would just ask, please no cakes and that we celebrate all together. So if your child has a January or February birthday, we will celebrate all together with the March birthdays. So we were planning on doing 2 birthday parties in March, but with the virus, I'm not sure when school will start. So hopefully sometime in March, when I meet your children, we'll do a birthday party all together. And that might be something fun that they can look forward to. Okay, I think I've covered everything. I'm sorry. I know this was very long. I will put in the description of the video below links that you can click. So if you want to go back and listen to one part of the video, you can click on that and it'll skip to the part that you want to listen to. So you don't have to listen to the whole thing again. Anyway, I just want to say how excited I am, Belle, to be your child's teacher. It's unfortunate that our year is starting this way, but we know that God's in control and God has a plan. God has a plan for your family and for your child. And I'm so excited that I get to be part of your child's life, even for a short time. So again, God bless you and stay healthy. Make sure to wash your hands, talk with your children so they're not feeling anxious about the virus. And I will hopefully see you soon. Okay, goodbye.